My name is Jamin Goecker. I'm your first friend in Alaska, and I'm also an associate real estate broker in South Central Alaska. And today we're going to talk all about having an epic Alaska adventure without necessarily breaking the bank. Now, we'll be jumping into that in just a minute. Before we get started, though, do make sure you give this video a like, subscribe, do all the good stuff. We'll consider that your hall pass for watching this content. And let's go and jump into it. Now, the first thing that I'm going to say is when I say like epic adventure, we're looking for something that's a little off the beaten path from kind of the regular like stuff that you're going to go and do. I think I probably have like a couple of hiking activities in here, but they're definitely a little bit more than just your, run of the mill, like little day hike. And also when I say don't break the bank, like I'm talking in the context of, like chartering a flight and going out into the bush for a week-long hunting trip that's going to cost thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm trying to keep it somewhere in the range of like $200 to $300, something like that, or even less. So that's going to be kind of our criteria that we're going to be looking at. With that being the case, the very first stop we're going to take a look at here is going to be hiking on Resurrection Pass. So what Resurrection Pass is it's down by Cooper Landing to Hope, or Hope to Cooper Landing, depending on how you do that trail. But either way, it's about 50 miles, and you're pretty much just going straight up a valley all the way through the mountains to get to the other side. And this is a really fun, laid back kind of a hike. It's not a whole lot of elevation gain. I mean, it is there a little bit. But you're really not going to be like climbing 4,000 feet straight up the side of a mountain or anything like that. So as far as like backpacking goes, like this is pretty entry level. Well, I'm going to say pretty entry level stuff. Relatively speaking, you're going to have to spend a couple nights obviously out there overnight. They've got some day cabins along the way. They've got river going right through there. So you're going to have a pretty good source of fresh water there as well. Get a pump and all that, obviously, to filter out the water. But this is going to be a pretty good, fun thing to do. And you're just out the cost of, obviously sleeping bag, backpack, food and stuff like that. So, this is a great option. So take advantage. The second adventure I would give you is Whitewater river rafting. Now, this is a lot of fun because Alaska has some of the best Class 4 and Class 5 whitewater rapids in the world. So if you're looking for something that's, a lot of adrenaline and something that's going to get you out experiencing Alaska, and it's going to be something that not everybody does, this is going to be a great option for you. Don't have this one priced out exactly. I would be surprised if it's over like $200-300 a person though. I have personally done the next one, and that is taking the train ride down to Seward or to Fairbanks. Now, the train is a lot of fun here in Alaska, and that's because it's really beautiful. You've got like big floor-to-ceiling windows on like either side, and you can just read a book or something as you're going through some of the more beautiful landscape that the state has to offer. And also, it's not like it's just following the road going all the way to Seward or to Fairbanks. It actually takes you on a different route going through the mountains, so you see a lot of scenery that you don't usually see even if you live in Alaska and you go to either of those destinations regularly. The nice thing specifically about Seward is you can take the morning train and then just spend the afternoon kind of walking around the downtown Seward area, like, I don't know, checking out some of the shops, getting some lunch, all that good stuff, hanging out down near the harbor. And then you can hop back on and actually go back to Anchorage that evening. So that's a ton of fun, and it's not going to really break the bank either. Another option down in Seward, while we're in this neighborhood, is going for a whale watching tour. So whale watching is a ton of fun because they get you up on these, I don't know what the correct term is, but they're definitely like not small boats. They're like really quick, almost like little cruise ships that are going around. But like I said, they are quick. So if they hear like a whale sighting over here, then they can zip right over there and get you to it in a blast. And also, they'll take you out there specifically to take a look at the glacier and all that out of Seward. And you can see all the natural habitat for the sea lions and other wildlife that's out there in the different areas. So it's a ton of fun. I've done that a couple of times. I've actually seen fin whales a couple of times while I was out there. and the gray whales, and obviously a ton of killer whales as well. So the times I've gone, it's been great to be able to see wildlife just that close, and you really get an appreciation for just how large these whales are. It's one thing to see it in a picture, it's another thing to see it in relation to the boat vessel that you're currently on. This next one is one of my favorite, and that is hiking Crow Pass. Now, Crow Pass is a 23.5-mile hike through the mountains starting in Girdwood and ending at the Eagle River Nature Center. It's a ton of fun because you have like a lot of elevation gain in the first like 3 miles or so. I think it's like 1,900 feet if I recall correctly. And then more or less it's kind of this downhill grade for the rest of the way down to the river, where you do have to wade across like some frigid cold glacier water that's going to be coming up to your hip. And it's a pretty wide river, so you know that's not nothing when it comes to planning, but it's a lot of fun, and you can either do this one in one long day or you can spend a night or maybe 2 nights if you really want to, and really just kind of take your time. The views are absolutely spectacular. If you're going to be going out there, you definitely want to make sure you take some bear spray with you, and make sure you just communicate with people, because you know you're really not going to be getting reception back there on any phone, so just make sure you have like some in reach or some way of communicating with people if you really need to. Ocean kayaking. Can we talk about it? So ocean kayaking is actually not that expensive. I just got back from a trip myself not too long ago. I thought it was going to be really expensive, but no, it costs like maybe, you know, the rentals and the water taxi and all that we used. I mean, it only costs like $250. Now, obviously, I had to go buy like a little bit of the gear, like just some clothing and all that. You really can't take any cotton out there because, you know, cotton kills if you're in the freezing cold water. But for the most part, yeah, it was only like $250 or so, like when it was all said and done, at least for the base stuff. Now, you know, gear, food, and all that, it's probably going to be a little bit more expensive, but you can definitely do it for around that $350. Just depending on how much of the gear that you already have. For us, we went out of Whittier and actually kayaked, I think it was like 2 nights, kayaked for 2 nights out to Blackstone Glacier, and it was just spectacular, and you got to see like all the wildlife really up close. Like, you know, we were kayaking up there and saw like, you know, a whale not too far away that we're pretty sure it was a gray whale. And that was really cool. Got to a campsite and there was like this little baby fur seal that just like hopped out of the camp area and just went straight to the ocean. So you see a bunch of really cool wildlife out there. Plus it's just all the scenery that hardly anyone ever sees. So ton of fun. Do recommend ocean kayaking. Never done it before. Maybe go with a guide, but I will let you work that stuff out yourself. But rentals for us, yeah, it was right around like that we'll say $250 to $350. How about that? While we're talking about glaciers, another thing that you can do that's not going to cost a whole lot of money is go hike on some glaciers. So you can either hike up to like the Hardy ice field outside of Seward, and you can do that for free. And I mean, that's really fun, and it's just expansive in all directions. If you're going to be hiking on glaciers, do make sure you let people know where you're going and you have some idea for what you're doing, because glaciers shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. Glaciers can be pretty dangerous. There's a lot of crevices out there. And if you've really not done that before, first off, I want to recommend doing it alone. And secondly, you know, I definitely want to recommend doing it without somebody there that knows what they're doing, like preferably a guide that can kind of walk you through some stuff, because it can get kind of dangerous out there. So do make sure you just go with a guide. But you can definitely walk across the Hardy ice fields or Matanuska, the Glacier. They've got some tours out there. I would actually recommend you go check them out first. And there's just a ton of other glaciers that you can go check out as well. So yes, go check out the glaciers. You can definitely go hike on those. It's a completely different experience. Can't really do in a whole lot of other places. So make sure you take advantage. Just, you know, preferably go with a guide. They can be dangerous. There, that's my liability disclosure there. Just be careful. All right, let's take a break from all of this awesomeness real quick to kind of tell you a little bit about the podcast that I do host, where I talk with people who've recently moved up here to Alaska and get them to really share what they like, what they dislike about living in Alaska, and really all the ins and outs of what it's like living up here from the people who actually do live up here. If that's something that would benefit you, you can either check that out here on this YouTube channel. We have one coming out every week on video format, or you can also check it out on Spotify, wherever else you listen to podcasts. and the links for those should be in the description section down below. Also, if you'd like a copy of my relocation guide, if you're thinking about moving to Alaska, feel free to go to my website. Again, link is in the description section. Go to the website, register, and put relocation guide so I know what to send you. Now, let's go and finish up today's video. The next one I really got into this past winter, and that is wild ice skating. So ice skating out in the wild, this is a lot of fun. It can be dangerous. So again, just like the glaciers, you need to make sure that you kind of know what you're doing, but it's a ton of fun, and you can just get out there on a frozen lake where there's no snow covering it yet and just go for miles and miles and miles and really get going pretty quick there on the ice skates. These can be a little dangerous though, because the lake isn't necessarily going to freeze all at the same rate. So sometimes it's really thick in one area and some places it's not. And it can be kind of hard just from a distance trying to tell how thick the ice is. So you take like little poles out there to tap the ice as you're going along, and you kind of listen for the sounds there. Preferably go with someone who's actually done this before and is kind of well versed in kind of the safety aspect. Don't just go running off on your own and just assume you see some lake that looks frozen enough and just jump out there and hope for the best. Okay, just do your research and all that to make sure you stay safe. But it is a ton of fun, and if you're looking for a place specifically, Klutna Lake is a ton of fun if you can get out there and it's actually frozen. And another place would be the Kenai Lake down on Kenai, just because that's really a dark green turquoise color, and the ice is that color. So it's awesome. Would recommend. Make sure you do it safely though. All right, now this next one, I'm going to include it. Maybe I shouldn't have, but I'm going to include it anyway, and that's dip netting on the Kenai. Now the reason I'm kind of hesitant to include it is because yes, the dip net itself isn't too expensive, and the gear and all that's not too expensive with the waders, but you also have to factor in the camping time and the knives and everything you need to actually carve up salmon afterwards, because once you go down there dip netting, it's 25 salmon for the first person, and then an additional 10 salmon for every family member. So you can get a lot of salmon fairly quickly, and you want to have some gear that can actually process that stuff in a way that's not going to make you hate your life. So it's a ton of fun, and I'm sure once you balance it out against the money you would have spent for good quality protein, you're still probably only paying that $200-300 range. But I feel like we're kind of pushing it with that one. But yes, it's a great adventure. It's gonna be a ton of work, and also let's not kid ourselves. This is not really sportsman fishing at all. This is just harvesting salmon, okay? So let's make a distinction. That's perfectly fine. That's honestly the kind of fishing I prefer, but let's just call a spade a spade. I don't know if you have ever gone paragliding before, but if it's something you're considering, you definitely want to go check out paragliding in Hatcher Pass, just north of Palmer. It is incredible views out there. Usually you can just drive to the top of the Hatcher Pass, and you can actually just take off right from there, just a little bit away from the parking lot, and someone's in a truck and they just pick you up and take you back to the top. It's a lot of fun. The only thing you have to keep in mind though is the way that the paraglides actually go up is they catch the thermals and they just kind of corkscrew their way up. All fine and good. If you're prone to getting airsick and merry-go-rounds really aren't your thing, then you're probably going to be good for, 10, 15, we'll say maybe 20 minutes before you really start wanting to throw up. But it's a ton of fun, and just know who you are as far as air sickness goes. If you have the gear all ready, going down and floating Eagle River, the actual river itself, is a lot of fun, or really any other river. If you're just looking to get into it, I would actually more recommend the Scenic River. It's a little bit more slow moving. I'm not worried about sweepers and turns and all that in the river as much as I am with the Eagle River. But it's a ton of fun, especially if you can just rent something like a kayak or maybe a paddleboard. I did a paddleboard over on the Eagle River. Doesn't mean it's safe, or I didn't almost get swept. I would really actually recommend doing the Scenic at first, and if you're good there, then take a look at the Eagle River. But it's a ton of fun because you get to just chat with people as you're kind of floating along there. And on somewhere like Eagle River, you kind of have to pay attention to the sweepers and the current that's can change pretty quickly as you're going around corners, so it does keep you on your toes too. Hiking Lion's Head, which is overlooking the Matanuska Glacier itself, is a ton of fun, and that's one of the things I really look forward to every year, especially when the fall colors are changing and everything's like really solid gold colors with the leaves up near that area, because it's just like a big rock that's just overlooking the glacier, so you get incredible views of the glacier, and then also of like the valleys and the mountains and the rolling hills with the golden leaves all the way around you. So absolutely incredible hike, and it's only like, I think it's like 3 or 4 miles. No, we'll say 2 or 3 miles one way, and then obviously you got to get down and all that. But yeah, for the price of a hike, like it's pretty spectacular. So would definitely recommend that. Last but not least, I'm going to say jet skiing. Now, when I say jet skiing, a lot of people might kind of look at you weird because, we're talking about jet skis in Alaska, but definitely, yes, this is something you can, and I'm going to say you probably should do. And some places you can go out of is going to be like Seward and Whittier, where you can hop on to like some ocean-ready jet ski and, just blast out to somewhere like Blackstone Glacier. Saw a number of them going by just a little bit ago when I was doing the ocean kayaking. And it looks like a ton of fun, and you get your dry suit and all that, so you're not just getting completely drenched in like this ocean glacier water. So making sure that you're staying nice and warm and all that. But yeah, you can rent those at a pretty reasonable price. So definitely something that I would recommend, and something that it's really something that you can only do up here in Alaska. So yeah, this has been my video talking about all the cool things you can do in Alaska. If you do all of these in one summer, then you are one heckin' cool person. But thanks for watching, hanging out with me, and we'll see you next time.